Yesterday we covered mandapas, what are the various types, and the key component in mandapa, that is the pillars. Today we are going to cover gopurams and other structures. This will be primarily gopuram, prakaram, and any other components that are available, primarily depending on the time limits. If we miss something, we will always catch up on the next session. So today, what I am planning to cover is a little bit on Balipida and Dojastapa, some differences, and what kind of prakaras are there in different levels, and some amount on the Gopura versus Vimana differences. Still people are confusing, many people are saying that Garbhagraha, on top of Garbhagraha we have the Vimana or the Gopura, that kind of confusions is there. So let us be very clear on this, and then various types of Gopura, and then what are the components in Gopuras, and then we see some of the famous Gopuras in Tamil Nadu, and also see some different types of prakaras that are available. So what started as a humble Vimana from here, it is extended into a grand collection of Gopurams, 7 of them in a line in Srirangam. So we will see how these things happen over a period of time. Before that, let us go to the basics. Normally, before in any temple, the Balipida and Vahana Mandapa will be in the inner sanctum area. Surprisingly, here in Dharasuram, this is outside the second level Gopuram. But what they have done is, instead of Balipida becoming a small pedestal, this is like I said yesterday, this is a symbolic bali, not a physical sacrifice, where you submit all your bad things and other things here and then go to the temple pure in mind. So instead of putting a simple one, they have built an elaborate Vimana kind of a structure, complete with Adhisthana, Upapeda, and a Bitti. On top of it, instead of the superstructure Vimana, they have put the Balipida. So that is one unique thing. Other interesting thing is, for doing the puja here, they have prepared a step, and there is a special, they have prepared the steps with a different kind of stones with a different density. So each step gives a different kind of a sound. So what happens? Naturally, people start banging on it with the stone. Somebody was saying that they have brought a hammer to see whether it sounds well in all the steps. So net result is, like our political leaders' statues, this is also put under cage. So only on special days when he goes, they open the cage and then do this. So we are responsible for this kind of an apathy and so if we are responsible, the monuments will be available to us. If we behave this way, this is what happens. This is what I also want to communicate. The next online is Nandi Mandapa, that also they had done it in a very elaborate way with Sopana, Asthihasta Sopana, and with the good pillars. That is another beautiful. If you see this, somebody asked me about Langula Bitti. Now, this is a typical case of Langula Bitti, where the mandapa, it is not closed fully by wall. One part is closed and another part is left open. This structure is called Langula. So you can see the beautiful structure, and ornamental one. And this is the kapota in the mandapa. See how far it is extending. Here the kapota is missing. Probably there would have been something there, and there are slots to fit something in this. So that might be the slots for fitting up the kapotas. So there is Balipida and Nandi Mandapa. Dwajastambha is inside. Now Gopurams, Gopuram means the Go means God or king, and the way to go to the king. Okay, so this is the entrance gateway to the king. This is against the actual sanctum or the place where God lives. So, where God lives and what is the entrance? This is the place where God lives, and this is where the entrance gopura. See the difference? This is closed and this is open. So, this is Vimana. It is top of any sanctum is called the Vimana. The entire structure in South Indian architecture is called the Vimana, from Upapeda all the way up to the Shikara. Whereas the same structure is called Gopuram when it is on the entrance way with opening. Let us see the differences between these two. Okay, so in the Aditala and base, there is only one entrance in the Vimana, which is going into the inners of the Garbhagriha. The other three sets are normally it is closed. Whereas in Gopuram, in the Aditala, there is a opening, two-way opening for people to move through. Here, so far, all this we have been calling it as Tala, Aditala, first Tala, second Tala, like that. Ekatala, Dvitala, like that. When it comes to Gopura, the term used is Salai. Okay, Adi Salai or Kalkaram or Ekasala or Dvisala kind of. So the layers are called salas. The third difference is that normally in the central Badram or the Mukasala, okay, there will be a deity here in the Vimana. Whereas when it comes to Gopuram, normally this will be open on both sides, like this one, but for the wind and other things to pass through, and there will be some shuttering work or it will be a small hole. That is another difference. So this is the Mukasala or the Badram or Bhadrasala, the central layer. So here also the same Kudu Panjara and Karnakudu Panjara and the Sala is there. That arrangement doesn't change. The other interesting easy way to find out is the Shikara here can be of any shape, whereas in Gopura the Shikara is always the Sala Shikara, the wagon roof kind of one structure. Then in a Vimana, we have, suppose if it is a Dravida Vimana, on all the four directions you have big Sukhanasis here. Sorry, we have the Mahanasis here on all the four sides. Here also on the front and on the back side, on the facing side, on the direction of travel, they still have Mahanasis. Whereas the side ones on the Sala, on both sides, it is called This is Kushanasika. I am wrong. I have put it as a typo mistake. Please excuse me. This is Kushanasika. So the Mukasala, this is called a Mukasala, and this culminates into the Mahanasika here on the top. Like the same way how it goes and culminates here. There is a commonality, but whereas these two sides on the elongated side, we have Kushinasikas. And normally in a Gopura, there will be only one stupi. Okay? Sorry, in Vimana, there will be only one stupi. Whereas when it comes to Gopuram, we can have 1, 3 or odd number depending on the width of the Gopuram. That is again prescribed based on the width of the base area. So this gives some of the key differences between the Vimana and the Gopuram. So let us see how the Gopurams came into being from a simple Torana to Pratholi and then being a Sala from the Sala Vimana and then expanding into Gopura type. If you see, even from very old time, as long as 3rd century BCE, we had Sanchi and other places, we had these Toranas. These are the logical entrance ways in which the stupas and other things are housed. And they were elaborate, and you know Sanchi stupa, how elaborate it is in terms of ornamentation. So these are the starting points. And in medieval times, you had the Toranas. If you go to North Indian temples, and particularly in Orissa, they don't have Gopurams. And then they have this elaborate Torana in front of the main temple. If you see many of the old Amravati and other sculptures and paintings, they have structures like a wall. At the end of the wall will be a grand gateway with a wagon roof type of this one and the watchtowers in between. So this is the city gateways, and then normally for the city as well as the place where you keep your cow herds. There is the well. This will be a gateway like this. People say that is also one reason for calling it as Gopura for entrance for the cattle herds. So the concept is not new. It has been there and it has developed over a period of time. See it becoming complex. And as Agamas improved and other things, the rules for Vimanas are also applied to certain variation to the Gopurams also. So earlier there were Vimanas with wagon wheel kind of an rooftop Sala temples. This is the Ganesharatha in Mahabalipuram. And from there it started with rudimentary temples, and then this is the Vimana profile of a big temple, and finally it culminated in very big temples in the Pandya and Vijayanagara type. So this is the progression which started as a simple archway, and then it has brought into a very grand kind of structure. Now let us see Prakaras and its relevance to Gopuras. Earlier temples were very simple, like this. Only this much is the temple. Okay. So later on we saw on the first day and second day how this temple structure got expanded into more and more and more complex. So the basic temple of the Karpagraha, and then there is a Antarala, and then Arthamandapa, and there is a Mahamandapa. Okay. So around this, The first prakara is called Antarmandalam. Antarmandalam. Okay. This is just outside the Garbhagriha. The second one, once you come out of the temple, there is a collection of all subsidiary temples here, like 63 sages, and then Ganapati, Muruga, and then Navagraha, and then Chandikesa. All these temples are there. So this prakara is called, second prakara called Antarhara. And outside that, there is some more prakaram called Madhyahara. So all these earlier temples were open with no connection. Once they closed it, there was a Antarmandalam. And once subsidiary temples came up, then huge wall came around this enclosure. This is the Prakara wall. Then as the temples expanded, they brought one more wall, some more functions, one more wall, some more functions. And finally, it went up to 5 prakaras in most of the temples. Agamas talk about 5 prakaras. So they are called Antarmandalam, Antarhara, Madhyahara, and then Bhagyahara, sorry, the number is 4, and Maryaji. So this is the name of the pathways around the Garbhagriha in 5 levels. So correspondingly, we have 5 types of gopuras. A, B, C, D, E are 5 types of gopuras with a different classification in front of, in the entrance of each of this. So the gopuras might be only on one entrance area, or it can be or 2 or 3 or all the 4 also. So the first one is called Dwarasobha, which is in the Antarmandala, the innermost complex. And this can have, the Agamas say that this can have up to 1, 2, 3 or salas. That is, it can be a simple gopura. When you say simple gopura, this is the entrance way to the Garbhagriha, okay, with the sala kind of an roof wagon kind of an shikara on top. That's it. Or it can have 2 or 3 salas. So there is as simple as that, but it cannot exceed 3 salas. When it comes to the next level, when you are Antarhara, there is in the prakara where the subsidiary strings are there. This is called Dwara Salai. So for this type of temples, the gopuras can have 2 or 3 or 4 salas. So minimum it will have 2 salas. Okay. Like that, when it goes to third prakara in Madhyahara, this can have 3, 4 or 5 salas. Okay. Then, when it goes to Dwara Harmiya, this is on the fourth prakara, Bhagyahara, it can have Dwara Harmiya. It is called, name is called Dwara Harmiya. And it can have 5, 6 or 7 salas. The final one after Maryadi, the rule says that it should have minimum 5 and it can have more than, so they have not put the limit here. Whereas when it comes to the Dwara Harmiya on the 4th level, it has to have minimum 5 or 6 or 7, so you can't go beyond that. So this is the classification. And now let us see why this classification is coming. This classification is that for each of these temple type, the basic calculation comes from width of the Garbhagriha. So the width of the Garbhagriha, so for the example for Dwarasobha, this has to be half the width of the Garbhagriha. It can be around 2/3, or it can be 3/4. It can be 1 or it can be 2, like that. The ratios will change. In addition, all these 5 categories also have in Dwarasobha, in Agamas, they have given 4 major categories. starting from Avas Vimana, Sutta Vimana, and Jati Vimana. Okay, 4 categories are there. So for these 4 categories, within Dwara Shobha itself, instead of saying half of width of this one, there will be a minor variations. So if you want to make it very sharp or very curved or little lean, there are variations available even in Dwara Shobha also. So now the challenge for us is just by counting the sala and say that now you have 3 salas, it belongs to Dwara Prasada, we cannot say. Why? The 3 salas can occur in Dwara Prasada, or it can be in Dwara Sala also, or it can be in Dwara Shobha. So depending on which prakara it is, we may need to take a guess on whether it is a Dwara Prasada, Dwara Sala or Dwara Shobha. So that is the variation, and based on this, the calculation will vary. So this is primarily to say that this is not a simple situation. People have thought through and then worked out in detail. But for our initial understanding, it is enough if you say that we have 5 prakaras, and then the size goes on increasing for each of the width as well as the height in each of these prakaras as you go outwards. And the number of salas also increases. So if you see a 4 salai temple, it can't be in 4th prakara. It has to be necessarily within the first 3. Okay, like that you can do some guess. Now let us go to the first prakara, which is called the Antarhare. This is just outside the sanctum. You can see the questions there in the inner wall on 4 direction. And you are also, this is on the old temple. If you visualize the temple as it was existing in very old time, all this structure would not have been there. The entire area is open with only the sanctum remaining. Later on, when they wanted to cover the area around the temple as a first level, this so this is where the Antarhare gets covered. So what they do is they put a Niralipati. This is a kind of a covered mandapam, like a prakara mandapam, where the outer wall is retained as it is, and the inner wall it is full of open pillars. Okay, the level of the mandapam is in line with the level of the Bitti starting here. So what happens is, in between this mandapa and the actual the wall of the sanctum, from the Adhisthana all the way up to Upapida, there is a lower depth and there is a channel kind of a low level area that is available. This gap is called Nalambalam. In many temples, it is left open to sky for ventilation, air circulation and other things. And in some cases, just to avoid thief menace and then monkey menace, they might have put some grill onto this. So this is next time when you see, when you go to the temple, in some of the very big sacred and high volume temples, they don't allow you into the first prakara, like Sri Rangam and others, they don't allow you inside first prakara. So when you come, you go into the, you see near the sanctum from the Ardha Mandapa, and then you go to the second prakara only. So you are not allowed inside the first prakara. Now, from a simple prakara, now you are seeing a grand temple, Rajamanar temple in Mannar. It's one of the big temples with a large area of later time. This is one of the large temples on the top 5 or 6, but its temple tank is one of the largest in India, the natural temple tank. Here, can you identify the sanctum? Very difficult. So the easy way to go is enter from the Gopuram, first Gopuram, second Gopuram, third Gopuram, fourth Gopuram, and then here it is. This is the sanctum. So you can see that around the sanctum there is a gap. Okay, there is a first prakara, and then after that there is a gap, second prakara, and there is a third. This is the fourth, and this is the fifth. So we have 5 prakaras, one on one, and then you can count 5 gopuras. So the challenge is, as the temples started developing and going to more and more development, you can see all the area which were open earlier has been closed with the roofing, and even the Dvajastambha and everything, all open areas are closed. If you see Madurai Meenakshi temple, except the temple tank, the entire area is closed, paved. So this is the paving and other thing happened during later period, Pandya and Vijayanagara period, that is around 17th, 18th century. So far, we have talked about 5 prakaras in Agamas. Okay. Now we have a temple. Let us see. This is a view of Sri Lankan temple. Can you identify that sanctum? Again, this is where it is. This is the sanctum, and this is the if you see the gap here, this is the Antarara. Okay, with the Nalambalamanda, the open to sky gap. Nobody is allowed inside. And then you have this first outer prakara, second outer prakara, third outer prakara, and then fourth and fifth, like that. But this itself is huge with so many gopurams. You can see the first gopuram, second, third, and fourth. If you see the other side, this is very easy. First gopuram, second gopuram, the third one, fourth one, fifth one. It doesn't stop at this point of time. There is a big city out there, and then they extended into 6th prakara and 7th prakara also. Okay, this entire area. And somebody was saying that there is town bus running around the temple. That is such a big one. This is the biggest temple complex in the world, which is under continuous worship. Yes, now you can see the 6th and 7th prakara is full of people, and the wall is around this, the huge wall. So, during 15th, 16th centuries and other things, during the Muslim invasion and many places, this has been used as a fort. And the towers also used as a lookout temples. So, gopurams have other way of usages in terms of wall. Let us see the inside of gopuram. Unlike the Vimana, which might be solid or where nobody is allowed to go up, gopurams have a way of a bowl structure. So it is not solid, it is bowl inside, and then there is enough gap available. It is like a shell structure. If you see the Statue of Liberty, okay, it is not solid, it is a shell, and inside we have 2 staircases and 2 lifts and all the infrastructure inside the statue. Like that, the gopuram also has the complete work inside this. You can see this. This is the entrance way, and this is the solid one. And from here, there are options to climb up to the first level. The first level, only the area inside is solid, and then here you have 2 options for going on a circular way, and then there are stairs, and then you go to the second level, third level, like that. Wherever possible, there is open ways, and then you can look out through the gaps. So this is how gopurams are different from your vimanas. You can see this in the second one, in the cutaway view. So the opening in the middle allows lot of light to enter from both sides, and this is how it is structured inside the core and the side stairs on both sides. In fact, in Madurai Meenakshi temple and in some other temples, earlier they used to allow people to climb up to this level. Nowadays, for security reason, people are not allowed, we are not allowed to carry even our cameras or cell phones. So this is totally out of question. But earlier times I used to climb, and then I have seen it up to this in when I was in the time. You see this is how it looks when you climb to the first level and then see the structure from there on top. The entire thing is bowl, and then this is how they are able to reduce the weight and create more and more towers. Otherwise, if you put this as a entire thing as a solid structure, then the weight will be too much to bear. And this is the side area which I was talking about, and this is the side. This is called Paksasala. On the two sides of the main entrance, these are the openings. From here, stairs will be there to go to the upper floor, and from there go to one by one tiers. So the basic for the Aditala, or they call it as Kalkaram, is normally put in a two-tier structure. So this is the innards of a Gopuram, how it is structured and how it is different from your Vimana. Vimana, this is the area where the deity will be there, and around that there will be a Sandara circular path. Now go to the top. This is where things are different. So you see the Griva, and then you see the Mahanasika here, and you see the Kushinasika on the opposite diagonal sides. And you have two Alpanasikas. This is called Alpanasika. The Alpa means as simple or insignificant or small. And then there is also one category called the Shudra Nasika, which is very, very small. The small ones here on the couple of them are called Shudra Nasikas. Now, if you see the Kushinasika, this is an elaborate structure with so many layers. There is a fiery animal. You can't identify the animal because it is a combination of multiple things, with the yali tooth, and then lion mouth, and then the Potakana eyes, and then ears of monkey, and then the horns of animal. And this is a combination animal. Earlier it used to be Kirtimuka, and then we could identify this as a lion. Over a period it has come into a different classification. Its tongue is coming out, and there is a fire, an arch of fire on top of it. And normally in this there will be a representation of the deity. The interesting thing is that, like your Vimana, in the Gopuram also they follow the convention of directional gods. So facing side will be the primary deity, and on, if it is facing east, and on south there will be Dakshinamurti and the related Shiva idols. On the back side it will be Vishnu, and on this side it will be Brahma and other subsidiary deities. So when you see a Gopuram somewhere, and then even from the Gopuram or from the kind of sculptures available in the Gopuram, you can say which side Gopuram it is or what is the general direction. So the convention is consistently followed. So let us see step by step how this Gopurams revolve. Instead of going into a dry monologue, I am trying to shift it into a more pictorial presentation. This story starts at Shore Temple of Libram. The angle is slightly different. Instead of two temples, you are seeing only one. The second one is behind this primary eastern Vimana. What is interesting here is that there is a prakara wall, and on the prakara wall also there are salas and kutas available. So there is a kuta in the corner and there is a sala on. You can see this. See this, there is kutas and then salas, and then interestingly what you see is the entrance to the temple is slightly raised with the ornamental sala sikara. This is called Pratoli, and this is the earliest form of a temple. You can see this. This is very corroded, so the shapes and other things are not done. You see a Sala Sikara on top, which is at a higher level than the normal wall. So this they say is the beginning of Gopuram, and which is the oldest Gopuram style available to us. This is by Rajasimha during 750s time. Next, the same Rajasimha tried to build the Gopuram in Kailasanatha temple in Kanchipuram. Can you identify the Gopuram here? This is not this, this is not this, and this is not this. This is something small over here. This is the actual entrance Gopuram. You'll be amazed to see that what is a grand thing now, it is at a very small thing. This is the beginning, first available full form kind of Pratoli of Gopuram. Okay. This is the close-up view of this. So you have a rudimentary entrance and then a rudimentary sala kind of sikara on top. The interesting thing is, if you see this, the Kushinashis are fairly well developed and with a single kalasa. Now let us go to the next level of development. So things was static like this with rudimentary Gopurams or basic Gopurams, and Rajaraja took it to the next big level, where in Tanjavur big temple, he built two grand Gopurams in the second and third prakara. So it has got two salais and this has got three salais. Sorry, four salais. That had lot of new features and lot of ornamentation, and that created a trend. So far, this has been built on brick or some amount of mortar, and this is one of the good ones which has been built completely of granite and other work. The outer work is Sudai or mortar work on the sculpture side. If you see this temple, let us see the brief recap of what we have learned so far as components of Vimana. So what is the bottom portion here? This is Upapida, which is designed to raise the height of things. If you see this, the Upapida itself is of two layers. The Upapida goes all the way from here up to there, two levels. Okay, it is not a one level Upapida, it is two level Upapida. And after that, you have your regular Adhisthana, comes with Jagati, Kumudam, Galam, and then Patika. After that, there is one layer of your Vedika. Vedika is a platform on which the wall sits. Vedika, and you have your Bitti, a wall platform. And normally the entrance is raised up to the end of the prastara. That is how the wall will be designed. So you see the standard half pilasters, and then you see the potica, and then we see the kapota. Okay, kapota is also there, and we see the first layer has got the pitti. Where the difference is, when it comes to central sala, instead of the deity there is an opening, and you can see the other side also. I also can see the other side. And you have your panjaras and you have your kutas. What is different here is that the panjaras are not at the same level as the kutas. So it has been raised one level and goes to the next level. This is variation on the first level. Two panjaras. When you see the sala or badram, the central Mukha badram, instead of this being a wagon roof, one single wagon roof, it has been cut up into two segments. These two components are called Upabhadra on two sides, and then this is raised to the next level, and its Shikara or the Kirtimula is raised to third level. So the Sala Vimana here goes to three levels. This is another variation. So behind that you see the Mahabhadra for the level 2, and after that from third level onwards the Mahabhadra comes in half level. And see the Kirtimukhas and other things with far more details. From Rajendra period and Rajaraja period, the Kirtimukhas were very, very elaborate in Gopuras as well as Vimanas. Now, it slowly started evolving, and till the Kulothunga period, this is the Kambaleshwara temple in Kumbakonam, where the Vimanas were almost equivalent to the Gopuras. Okay. Earlier, the Gopuras were small ones and Vimanas were tall, and now this is almost at the same level. Then, when Pandya started it, the first in Chidambaram, Pandyas built the 7 Sala Gopuram on the south or east side. So that is where first the Gopurams become taller than the Vimana. Now we are seeing some of the beautiful Vimanas during the Pandya and the later Pandya side. This is, you can guess it, this is Arunachaleswara temple in Tiruvannamalai. This is the main east Gopuram, and we have 4 major Gopurams and the other subsidiary Gopurams. The sanctum is somewhere over here. Before that we have the Mandapas, we had this is the 1000 pillar Mandapa, and we have enough Mandapas and the small things. These 4 Gopuras are built at a later period, all the way up to Ballalas, and the Hoysalas also contributed with this. And they are among the top 10 of tallest Gopuras in Tamil Nadu. The other Gopura here is the Kalayar Koil Gopuram near Sivaganga. The Marudu Pandyas built this Gopuram for the twin temple for Shiva. And this is one rare occasion where 2 large Gopuras are standing next to each other. How many salas here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 years. So this is some of the structures that are done by other kings, by Vijayanagara and Hoysala, and this is by later Marudu Pandyas. Now we come to the 3 top Raja Gopuras in Tamil Nadu. Can anybody identify this Gopura?
Srirangam.
Okay, good. What is this?
Srivilliputturu.
Srivibuttur. This
Madurai,
Madurai.
Meenakshi.
Madurai South Gopuram. The three most beautiful and unique thing. One, what is unique about Thiruvarangam? This is the tallest Gopura, 235 meters. Then Srivibuttur is the next one, 193, built around 1600. Actually, only the base was built up to Vijayanagara period, and after that it was stopped, and then it was completed very recently.
Sir, I'm sorry for interruption. It is feet, sir,
Yeah.
not feet. 235
Yeah, correct. I'm sorry, feet. Yes. It can be 235 meter. I'm sorry, this is the type. I was typing and somehow I missed it. I'm sorry. Okay. And Madurai Meenakshi temple was built around 870 during Pandya period in parallel, and it has been renovated. This is one of the Gopuras which survived Malikapura. Others got demolished. See the differences. This is beautiful. Okay. It is full of sculptures. You go to any Gopura, and particularly later Pandya and Vijayanagara, all the Purana tales are there, and many of the Shiva and Vishnu forms will be there in the Gopuras, and also lot of local tales. The Sthala Puranas will be represented as the stucco work in the Gopuras. Okay. It is so rich, and it is a slightly curved one. If you can see in the profile picture, you will say that there is a beautiful curve. It is not a pyramid kind of. This is Srivibuttur is tall and majestic, and see the amount of ornamental work getting reduced. This is just a replica of the original model getting repeated in multiple things. Almost like a Bodhi temple. In Bodhi temple, instead of the Kuta or Sala Sikara, various designs of Davakshas will be getting repeated. Other than that, this is not interesting to, it is not an interesting Gopura to look into. So this is the three top Rajagopuras. Now we come to Prakaras, which are perimeter walls with mandapas. We have talked about earlier. We have seen it in the first Antarahara as a mandapa. These are some unique mandapas. What you see is a sky view of Kanchi Kailasanatha. What Rajasimha has done, you can see can I identify the Gopuram here? This is a small structure here. Okay, you can see that the original temple was opened, and Rajasimha's son again expanded and built one more small temple in his front, and then later on the Gopuram was also moved. His wife and other several relatives have built smaller temples like this. What is one of the innovations in this temple is that instead of having a wall or a prakara mandapa, which is a normal convention, what Rajasimha has done is a very, very, very unique thing. He has built around 63 plus small temples, complete small temples lining this. The additional beauty in this that each temple has got exquisite sculptures of various forms of Shiva or Purana stories. And that is a joy to watch, and you will definitely need more than a day with a proper guide to walk in this small space. The other interesting aspect of this temple we will cover later is the engineering aspects. When it comes to Pallava temples, we will discuss that in detail. So there is one form of prakaram, this is called Pushpa Malika, around 65 plus small temples around this. The outside is festooned with leaping lion motif all over the place. But unfortunately, this is a sandstone earlier structure, so it has become brittle, and in many places the farm outline has been eroded. Next interest and very famous prakara is done during Nandivarma Pallava, the second Nandivarma. This is like a normal prakara mandapa. The outer wall is there and the inner wall is replicated by lion pillars. Okay, and then this prakara covers the entire temple. What is interesting is this outer wall, the entire one surrounding this, is full of panels of sculptures. What it represents in two layers is the entire history of Pallavas, right from the mythical Pallavas who descended from Brahma, Aswatthama, and the first Pallava born, and then from there the generation history all the way up to Nandivarma, which stops around the behind backside of the temple. The second half of the prakara is full of the deeds and activities of Nandivarma, how he got crowned, how he came from Cambodia, and then how he took charge, and then what are the wars he has done. All these are explained in beautiful panels. There is a book by Dr. Meenakshi, which is available in ASI, which talks in detail about this panels and the historical one. I have also done one detailed presentation around 2 hours on the Kanchi Vaikuntha Perumal temple, the historical panels and also the temple structures. If you subscribe to my channel, you will be able to watch it, and then you can also explore some of the interesting temples. The third type of interesting prakara mandapa is a malika, where instead of single tier, it is 2 tier, and it is there in Gangaikonda Cholapuram as well as in Tanjavur. They had 2 tiers, but in Tanjavur it seems to have been demolished earlier times, and then in Gangaikonda Cholapuram it was remaining in a dilapidated state, and during British rule, and they took a decision to demolish it and remove all the stones, and with the stone they built a dam, check dam, in the tributary of Kaveri, which is running near this area. They built a new check dam. So that is the story behind this Malika. By the time it was damaged and then it was crumbling, so they took a call and then removed all the stones and removed the entire wall. So apart from this, in many temples like Chidambaram, Tiruvayur, and some of the old temples, you will find the third or second prakara is a two-tala Malika. In Sirgadi and in some other places, it is two-tala only. So this covers the Malikas. I have a few minutes. I think today I have finished ahead of time. So I can, I thought I will talk about some different types of temples that are there in Tamil Nadu from the religious aspects. This is not part of your regular architectural presentation. This is a customization. When we had the initial 1 week, people are saying about, I want to learn this, I want to learn that, and it would be helpful if I also learned this as in a single point. So people wanted what are the Padalpetta Thalams and then Vaishnava Thalams and other things. So I have prepared a brief of what kind of different variations are there in this. So if you want to see details on this, you can refer to some of the websites where the detailed classification is available, which I can share it later. If you see this, one of the major chunk of temples is called Padal Petrakkulam. That means the temples which were blessed and sung by religious Shaiva sages living around it. The three major Shaiva sages at the time is Appar, Sundar, and Sambandar. So they have traveled all over the place, and then as part of the Renaissance, where the Bhakti movement increased, and they were professing Saiva philosophy, they used to travel all over the place, and then they asked people to pray and then clean old temples, and then in each of these temples they talked. They sung 2 or 3 stanzas about the speciality of a particular temple. So we have around 250 plus temples in this category spread over the core Chola area and Pandya, as well as in the Pallava area, which is the north Tamil Nadu. There is one category. The other major category is the Vaishnava Talas, which is 108 talas sung by 12 alvas almost around the same time, and they extend up to 10 C. So these are called Divya Desam, which is sung by 1 or 2 or multiple people. The special temples are Tirupati and Kanchi Varadaraja temple and your Srirangam Ranganatha temple. These are the 3 major temples, and there are other temples. And this is spread over all over Tamil Nadu, some on outside Tamil Nadu, some virtual like Vaikuntham also. The third category in Tamil Nadu is in South Tamil Nadu, in the Tamarabarni banks, there is a collection of Navatirupati, 9 sacred temples which has been sung by Alvas and visited frequently. That is another classification. People normally go on tours to this Navatirupati, so they take a base in Tirunelveli and tour around this area. The other group is for Lord Muruga. It is called Arupade Veedu. What it means in English is the 6 holy places. So this is Tiruparankundram, Tirushendur, where the Surasamhara happened, Palani, where he got a fight with his father and mother and then stood alone, Swami Malai, where he advised Shiva about the meaning of Om, and Tirutani, as well as Palamudichole, where she married his consorts. So this is another group of Arupade Veedu for Kaumara. And in Kumbakodam, in a later stage, as I mentioned, Navagrahas were never worshipped separately till 9th, 10th century in Tamil Nadu. So they were subsidiaries. But slowly around 10th century and beyond that, slowly separate place for Navagrahas came in, where the Surya will be in center and all the other planets will be around in a sphere around this. This is simple Pradishta of 8, 9 idols, that's all. But later on, in some of the temples, there is a special puja and special powers for one of the Navagraha, and then they have identified around 9 temples where one of the Navagraha is there in the substrate. And people, what they do is they stay in Kumbakonam and try to cover in a hurry in single day. In the essence, they end up by not seeing the main deity, the Shiva and others, and then in many places with the tourist guide, they visit only the Navagraha and they escape by the backside entrance and try to cover the next Navagraha. So this is one circuit which I will not recommend to any of you. You won't see the temple and you won't be spiritual also. The next classification for Shiva is the Pancha Sabha, the 5 sabhas in which he has done the dams. They are of different structure. One is the Chitra Sabha in Kutralam Falls near Tirunelveli, where the entire Sabha is a Sabhakara Mandapa, is like a wagon wheel where it is like a Kerala type of a wagon wheel kind of a Mandapa. The variation from the Sala is that there will not be any Kushinasis on both sides. It will be a simple cover. So, this mandapa in Kutralam is festooned with beautiful art drawings all around the temple. So, it is called Chitra Sabha. And next one is in Tirunelveli. This is the roof is with copper, so it is called Tamira Sabha. And the roof of the temple, the superstructure is covered with copper. The next higher one is similarly in Madurai, Velli Sabha, and it is covered with the silver roof. The very famous one is the Golden Sabha in Chidambaram, which has been looted several times because of this, and it has been relaid multiple times. And the other one is near Chennai called Thiruvalangadu. It is called Ratna Sabha or Emerald. And this is where Karakkal Ammayar, one of the famous sages in Tamil Nadu, attained Mukti. And this is said to be one of the oldest dancing places of Shiva. Again, another classification of major temples, the big temples, is Panchabhuta Sthala. So this is where Shiva is represented as one aspect of Panchabhuta as a linga in 5 different major temples. So land is represented in Kanchi in Ekambra, where the story is that Parvati created the linga out of sand. There is the Ekambra temple, Ekambranada's temple in Kanchipuram. The next is fire, the Tiruvannamalai temple, which is where the Lingodbhava concept came in, where Brahma and Vishnu tried to find the top and bottom of Shiva standing there as a tall pillar of fire. This is a story from Tiruvannamalai. And Tiruvannamalai Jambudeswara is another temple related to water. The interesting thing about this temple is this is a grand temple on Trichy. On Trichy main road in the main Srirangam island, there are 2 big temples. When you go from Chennai, on the right side, there is a big complex which is a Srirangam temple for Vaishnavas. And then on the left side, there is another big complex which is Tiruvannamalai Jambugeswara temple, which is a Shaiva temple. So here, the Garbhagriha is slightly one level below your normal other mandapas, and we need to climb down into the sanctum area. And there, the linga, there is a seepage of water from other thing, and then the linga is up to 1 feet of water in some of the times during monsoon and other. So that is a water linga. The sky linga is Chidambaram, where there is no linga at all. It is in the sky and it is called Shunya, and there is a concept called Chidambara Ragasyam or Chidambaram secret, where there is a chamber inside with nothing in it. So there is Shunya. What they have in Chidambaram as idol is the Urchavamurti, the Nataraja, bronze Nataraja, which is also taken around procession in other functions. That is a unique thing about Chidambaram. The final one is the linga for air in Kalahasti, which is outside Tamil Nadu, technically outside our scope, but it is in Kalahasti, just outside Tamil Nadu border, near Tirupati. So people who are going to Tirupati, they cover Kalahasti also on that trip. So this gives in a nutshell what are the key temples from the spiritual point of view. So when you come next time to Tamil Nadu, you can mix spiritual as well as technical architecture, and all this is temples are grand temples with a very good architecture, and in others, Shaiva temples and Vaishnava temples, some are good, some are very basic, but architecture point of view, you can easily cover all this and then excellent temples. So with this, we are stopping today's presentation. If you have any doubts on this, you can ask. Before that, I think Bhujang can announce it before you others log out.
Yes, thank you, sir. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Here, just I want to say all of you that with this great knowledge treasure for all of us, and as I got the messages on my chat box also, for tomorrow and day after tomorrow there will be holiday, and it's for our study purpose. हम सभी लोग ठीक से अध्ययन करें और जो भी हमने सीखा है उसके बारे में नोट्स वगैरह जो भी है आपके वो प्रॉपर रूप से बनाएं. And our session will continue on Monday and Tuesday. So now, yes, I will put this same message in our WhatsApp group also. Here in our chat box there are too many questions. So how will it be possible? Please continue it, sir.
Okay. So last 2-3 days, people have been saying that we are cramming too much of content, and people also wanted something to absorb on the details that has been given. So it gives us enough time and then some break to go through. But your interactions will continue over the chat. Okay. So every day I will be available morning 1 hour or evening 1 hour, and evening 1 hour, and in between you can always discuss among the questions I post. Now that everybody knows almost the same thing, there is no need that I should give the final decision. You can discuss among yourself and come up with the conclusion on the particular issue, which people have been doing in last 2-3 days. They have been coming up with the right answer on discussion. That is very, very encouraging. Okay, so questions? Odd number of rupees, as Sneha's question on why odd number of rupees. Normal Hindu belief and convention is that anything in odd number is good and expected to grow. Even number is expected to stop. So it goes in all the spheres. It goes to the situation where if your license plate in the car is an odd number, its market value is slightly reduced and the saleability gets reduced. That is the level it goes. Then imagine to the Sufis what they will apply. It's only odd numbers. Siddharth has got a hypothesis, interesting one. So 1 is when the Lord is standing, and 5 is when it is reclining. And because this is not so, it is primarily because of Vimana. If you see the Vimana, for Shakti and others, they use Sala Vimana or the oblong elliptical kind of Vimana because you need more length. So naturally, in some cases, there will be more than one Shikara. But in Gopuram, it is a function of the width of the Gopura and the Talas. They have some recommendation. You can have 5, you can have 7 or 9. Sale means just a covered wagon or the sloped covering. So it has got multiple meanings, and in some languages or some structure, the context also seems. Kanchan Joshi has got an interesting question. Even Sala are 3 in Dwara Shobha, Sala, Prasada, but our dimensions rules differ. I'm not very clear about the question. Can you explain it little, please, if Kanchan is available?
Hello, sir. Yeah, actually, as you explained, in Dwara Shobha, Dwara Sala, and Dwara Prasada, there can be a three salas. But even for all three, dimension rules and proportion changes according to the
Yes.
prakara.
Yes. Yeah, I mentioned that briefly. So there are Avasa Vimana, Suddha Vimana, and then Vikalpa Vimana or something. I don't recollect now. My memory is that. And finally, Jati Vimana. So there are 4 classes in each of the Gopurams, and the ratios are slightly different. I can share the calculation. There are calculations for it. Okay, and there are ranges for each of this. So depending on how big your Gopuram you want to structure, you can select any of these 4 combinations. Does it answer the question?
And even I asked one more question later, that why Gopuras are they have built higher like regarding to the main sanctum. So was there
They
any
wanted to
particular
show.
region of
Sorry.
safety or something?
Safety is one aspect which was pursued later. The thing is, when the earlier kings built, okay, they have built the temple grand, and then for the later kings, they also need to do something. And they can't demolish the existing woman and build it taller. So whatever is available for them to build, Pandyas started building good, strong Gopurams. Okay. Later, Vijayanagara kings came. They built a lot of grand mandabas, and then the outer they extended one more prakara or 2 more prakara, and then they built bigger Gopurams on top of it. So basically, this is everybody trying to outbid other and say that I am bigger. And a certain amount during the climate of 13th, 14th century where invasions happened. So Gopurams, they have seen the value of having a strong wall and higher covers. So when it came to Vijayanagara, they made it a point to have the outer walls and other things stronger with the taller Gopurams. So it is a mix of both.
Okay.
PK has got any idea if drones are allowed over temple? No, police now bans drones, and whatever is taken is with some amount of connivance and some amount of this one. ASA doesn't allow, and in fact there is a huge case booked in Sun Temple, Konark, where a foreigner, he came on a visit, and then he drove the drone, and for this he was arrested and put on jail. So don't try drones. Easier to see. After some time, the technology will definitely get improved. See, when in many of the temples, for like Meenakshi, okay, Meenakshi temple and others, they don't allow even cell phones inside. Nowadays, we are not able to take photos or something of the beautiful sculptures inside. Think of that and then see the impact on drones. PK has got other question, the impact of 7. See, this is a vicious circle and a catch-22 situation, where sometimes people think of numbers and put activities, and in many situations, people count the numbers and try to put significance for that. So this is one such factor. Mukta Latkar has asked, the 6th and 7th Prakara did not have Gopurams. Yes, we have Gopurams. The tallest Gopuram we saw just now in Srirangam is the 7th Prakara Gopuram. And beyond that, 2 layers of dwellings and people and huts, business, everything, and the town bus going inside is happening. The core temple comes from the fifth prakara. Foundation of Gopuram is same as the foundation which we do for the Vimanas in a normal situation. Okay. The advantage is that later period Gopurams, only up to the Prastara, the first thing is on stone, granite, and after that it is a combination of brick, mortar, and fairly a lot of wooden cladding inside, and with mortar or the cement kind of dolls on the front side. So the shell on top is lighter, and the rock base takes the weight. PK asked another question. When did coloring of the temple begin? From the time people had color. The sculptures and idols in the Gopurams were always in Sudai, and on top of it, the Sudai means marker. Okay, it is a mixture of lime and some other chemicals. On top of it, they have a white line coat, and then they do the coloring. The interesting thing is, the question you should be asking is, why all the Gopurams look alike? Because there is a standard coloring scheme recommended for this type of structure or this type of figures. These are the colors you are supposed to paint. So all the Gopurams freshly painted also look same from a distance, because of the ratios are same, the colors are same. Sriram, I mixed it up. Thanks for reminding. I'll check it up. I was thinking of two towers. Nagaswara sir asked a good question. Sala Shikara allowed over Shiva sanctums? Normally, no. It is usually done in Sakta temples only. In very rare cases, it can be for some Vishnu temples, but not on Vishnu temples. They go by elliptical, so not for Shiva temples. Very rare. Nothing I can think of. That if there is something, please mention. With your wide knowledge and travel, you can identify something.
Sir, good evening. Nageshwar Rao.
Good evening, sir.
Sir, sorry, I know only a drop in the ocean. Thank you so much. In Kailasanath temple, the front temple built by Mahendra, see, that is a Tara Shikara.
Correct.
Okay, that's what.
Correct.
Okay,
Correct. I missed that. Again, there is a question on what is the purpose, whether it is meant as a Gopura or it's a weird temple, like they have cut open and then cut open the normal plan and then they have added something. So I missed that. Thank you for reminding. Sneha from Vijayanagara period, Gopurams are famous, or even before Vijayanagara. See, during if you see the story, somewhere in later Cholas, when Kulothanga III built Tribhuvanam temple, they were almost equal. And from the Sundara Pandyan time in Chidambaram, the Gopurams become taller. And Pandyas also built a lot of Gopuras which are taller. But Vijayanagara took it to the latest, higher scale, because they deliberately raised the Upapidam, and then they, see, when you have the ratios, you can take 3 or 4 ratios, where Pandyas were preparing a wider base and then lesser talas, whereas Vijayanagara was raising the Upapida to a great height, and then they opted for more tiers and started using lighter and lighter materials on top so that it can the weight is handled. So that is where Vijayanagara were able to extend it to a taller level. Dinesh asked one more question. You are saying about the names of the 5 prakaras, and what about 6 and 7? 6 and 7, I don't see any names, not in the books I have read, that they might have extended later. See, some of the books are the standard text in Agamas is there. This is what we prescribe. Innovative sculptures and innovative pranas can take the liberty and do as per your imagination. That class is always there in many of the lectures, so they might have taken the liberty and expanded. Thanks, Anadakshi, for the appreciation on difference between Vimana and Gopura. So hope now any of you will be able to correct somebody when they come to South India and say that I prayed to the god in the Gopuram, then you will be able to correct them and say this is the correct way. So, Kushi Keshari, your request is accepted. You owe a treat to me. Okay, I will collect it offline. Anil Kumar, ASA has restricted for shoot or picture or video via drone. Not only ASA, everybody is restricting picture or video. Even in local temples sometimes, when you go and take pictures of inscriptions, not even the deity or the Vimana, only the inscriptions, people protest and then start seizing the camera. Sometimes it is goes by. Ramakrishna's again question, first Gopuram built in South India or Tamil Nadu in stone with the brick and mortar. It was there in the presentation, short term. No, when I say that, first temple, we don't know. What is available on the extent first temple we see now is only this. Later on we may get some evidence or some documentation saying that this temple was built in such a date as an inscription or something, then your history is written. Madhuchanda Majumdar asked Sala of Gopuram and Sala of Vimana are same because both are the shape. Sala shape is a wagon kind of a rectangle raised and then joins in a straight line, long straight line. Whereas Kuta, all the 4 sides of those square join in a single point. That is the difference between Salakara and Kutakara. Kutakara is like a simple hut where 4 sides of the square raised and in a curved way join, like your normal hut. Your Salakara is like a rectangle where it joins and then it joins continuously over the length with 2 edges. These 2 edges on the side, normally we put alankaras or nasikas. When it comes to this one, this is called Kushinasika in Gopurams. Aarti Gavde, every 12 years, temple go through a renovation process where the Kumbhabhishek happens, where they remove the kalasas, they recharge it, and then they put fresh grains, and then they clean everything, they clean the idols, they reinstall the idols, they clean up all this and then do fresh coat of paint. Sometimes earlier they used to have vegetable paints and other things. Now almost everything is fluorescent and these temples glow in the night like anything. It's so scary. Dinesh, in Sala of Gopura, they have touches the prastara. I am not clear about that. You can explain it over WhatsApp in detail. I will respond to you. Dinesh, are you there?
Yes, sir.
I think he dropped. Dinesh, what is this question about?
Sir, in Gopura, the Sala is extended to Prastara.
Prastara comes in each layer. Prastara is the roof segment with a slab. Okay, that is there in the end of the base when your pitti and other things first things. So your pathway or the Mahadwara or the entrance gateway is up to the Prastara, and after that only first Salai or other thing layer starts after that. That structure is similar to Vimana and Gopura. Okay, cool. So I think there is enough questions over a period of tomorrow and day after. Yeah, exactly. Sindhuja, this is like a parapet wall. This is the end beading and the roof portion. And the beading before and after the roof joint. So thank you. It was a good interactive session with a lot of questions. Hope it is clear, and if it is not clear, put your questions in a structured way. I will try to answer it for 1 hour tomorrow and day after. Tomorrow and day after is a prime time. We have a lot of presentations and meetings, and usually I am free on weekdays, and then weekend I am busy with need to attend lot of meetings. So I will try to answer your questions 1 or 2 hours when I get time. Okay. So see you. Have a nice weekend. Enjoy your videos.